Hello, and welcome back to Sharing a Chapter a Day. This is Do, Ra, Me, and today I will be reading Chapter 35 of Engagement in Peril by Dara, Odoe, Sup. Chapter 35 is titled, My Cake and Eat It Too. September 1991, our first month of ninth grade together. Now, Long Beach Polytechnic High School was 2 blocks from my house. I lived at Lime and 19th then, so it was much a faster walk to school than previous year for both Suzanne and I. Now, Suzanne, several of our friends, and I were placed in the CIC, Center for International Commerce program, a program for talented students with aspiration for business and economics. Suzanne and I had different classes because she chose Chinese for a foreign language class, where I chose Russian. And also I was placed in the PACE math program with Mrs. Zerby, who in 2010 had lost her 35-year-old son to police violence. Her son was shot and murdered by the Long Beach Police Department, who thought he had a gun. Instead, it was a water nozzle. In actuality, he had a water nozzle instead, so in his drunk stupor, he held the nozzle up at the ignorant police officer in late day and was shot dead with multiple bullets from various officers then. The case is being reviewed, and the families of the victim filed a lawsuit against the Long Beach PD for negligence. While in high school, Mrs. Zerby's daughter, Heather, who was in the same class and same age as me, well, we also had several classes together. We both had AP English and Accelerate Math class back in our high school days. Back to Suzanne and I, and our affection for each other. Although we had separate classes, we saw each other before class and during recess and during our breaks. And we also worked together at the school student store during lunch. Suzanne and I only had one class together then, our freshman year. We had physical science together with Mr. Potter, who now is a computer tech for the school. He doesn't teach science anymore. He just goes around into classroom and set up computer programs and account for teachers and students. I guess he gets paid more that way. His wife still teaches there. She teaches English as a second language to minority students for the ELD program. My daily routine went as follows. I would go to school at 6 a.m. to the school cafeteria where I prepared sack lunches and snack for students. I also add pepperonis onto pre-made pizza and warm them up in the oven to sell during lunch. I labored in the cafe for an hour or two until it was time to go to class at 07:45. I went to my morning class until lunchtime, where I leave the class 5 minutes early and make my way to the student store to help with selling perishable goods to students and staff during our lunch break. There at the student store, we sold McDonald's burgers, Taco Bell burritos and tacos, Pizza Hut and Domino's, personal pan pizza, KFC, box lunches, and other fast food items. We usually sold out our daily stock of perishable goods quickly during our lunch break. After working at the student store during lunch, we would always have plenty of time for chilling and hanging around with our friends and classmates. Most of the time, I just hang around the student store and chit-chat with Aaron and Kuhn. Everyone that I knew was in some kind of club or organization during lunch, but as for me, I just stuck to myself and minded my own damn business. It turned out that when students that worked for school cafe and a student store were paid monthly, I would usually make the most money because I accumulate more hours than any student there. Dara, you began to earn a living at a young age and you knew how to save money. You were quite a good saver then, and you kept that to yourself. You were the loner then. Perhaps that might have driven you to the dark road you are now. Such a downer you are. Such a downer you are, my dear Dara. I hope that one day you will wake the fuck up and realize you actually need people in your life to make you happy, and perhaps you'll live longer in the long run. Good luck with that, Dara. I truly mean it. Now, while working for Polly, I had 3 wonderful lunch lady bosses who were really good to me because they saw that I was a hard worker and more dedicated to my duties and responsibility than the rest of their student staff. The head boss was Kathy, who has lived a full life. She grew up in the tundra of Wisconsin as a child and moved west with her husband who was in the military during the World War II. She was the eldest of all the staff in the cafeteria and was like a mother to all of us. Kathy was always at work early and would open the back door for me when I arrived there at 6 a.m. or so. She's a terrific boss, and she's the one who kept track of work hours and made sure we got paid correctly. Last I heard, Kathy retired in 2006 and is enjoying her free time with her grandchildren. God bless Kathy and her lifetime of experience. She was such a humble woman. She was actually my subject when I entered a writing contest for Women's Month Writing Essay Contest, of which I won and was published in the Long Beach Library Hall of Records. Second in command for the cafeteria to Kathy was Linda, who was also cool. She was in her mid-30s then and had a daughter that was around my age who went to Lakewood High School. She treated me like one of her own kids and always had my back no matter what. I worked with Linda in the cafeteria and the student store, where she ran the group of students who works there. Linda now runs her own cafe at Milliken High School on the east side of Long Beach. God bless Linda as well. She's quite the giving mother and grandmother now, dedicated to her family and work. Another lunch lady that I remember well is Nancy, who was the younger of the previous two. She was cool. She ran a snack shop at the student store, and she and I would always talk and joke around. She also had a daughter several years my junior. Last time I saw Nancy was at Poly. She runs the cafe now. She is blessed by the hand of God and a terrific mother as well. And there are several others there at the school cafe that were terrific people. Working in the school cafeteria and student store during my 4 years of high school helped me focus me and helped me prepare for the real world of daily living, daily grind, daily working, daily routine of doing the same thing over and over like a machine I had become in this mundane world of ours. At the end of September month drew near, Suzanne and I started to drift apart. I finally came clean one day at the school central Rose Garden where when we usually hung out, which sat in the middle of the school quad, the front quad. Holding hands and making small conversation, I admit that I had still had feelings for her friend Kelly. As a result of my honest forthcoming, I was given an ultimatum by Suzanne then and there. With her eyes upset and uneasy, to choose Suzanne or Kelly. Damn, I didn't know or wasn't sure what was to say then. I really had strong feeling for Kelly, but now I was seeing and loving and fingering fisting Suzanne at the same time. Damn the dilemma. So I said what most idiots usually say when put in a tight spot. Without thinking or taking a minute to breathe and contemplate my answer, I want both. I want both. Can't I love both of you at the same time? That's when I saw Suzanne being really crushed. Her throat seemed choked up and her anger was fueled by my stupidity. I'm sure her heart was crushed from the statement that I had just made in her presence. Her face tightened and her slowly reddened. She couldn't say anything, and with her tear trickling down her embarrassed face, she just agonizingly demanded this of me. Get the fuck away from me, Dara. You get the fuck away from me now. I was quite surprised and scared from her scream and demand. I let her be and left her side right there and then. That was the last time we ever hung around the rose garden together, or spoke a word together. I left her side and lost her at that very moment. At the same time, I lost the respect of Kelly as well. The respect that I had worked so hard to earn and to be close to her, I had lost that too. At that moment, I had lost everything. Both my love and my lust. Thinking back now, at times I wanted my cake and eat it too. I wanted both Suzanne and Kelly. I was such an asshole then. So we finally separated. We never told each other it was over, but I stopped talking to her or hanging with her and her friend since then, and I went off on my own way. I was my lonesome self once again. A loner I became after our separation then. And like an outcast, I was left to my own demise. After our breakup in high school, Suzanne and I stayed apart and kept much of a distance from each other. Although we had physical sightings together, I stopped sitting next to her and refused to talk to her. Even with my ignorance, she wanted to still be friends. But stubborn as I was then, I refused any friendship or kindness and advances that she was seeking and offering. On various holidays, throughout the school year, she would give me holiday cards. And I, being stubborn, being so mean and harsh toward her, I would write, "Take it back" on the card envelope without ever saying a word. I too have regretted doing this to my one-time lover. What an asshole you were then, Dara. I know you were crushed, but it was your own damn fault. Think about who answered, I want to have my cake and eat it too. Such an idiot you were then, Dara. You could have been nicer to Suzanne and come clean from the get-go. But then again, there were moments they had set you up to fail. You were quite the game then, don't you think? I reprimanded and questioned my young, idiotic self. What sucks about our situation then was that we still had class together. We were both in the same academic program, and we even worked together during lunch in the student store for the entire 4 year of high school, where we sell fast food and such to student and staff. You know what it made it more complicated? Kelly and Annie were working there as well. There I was with the three girls that I had and wanted to fuck around with, and then again, I couldn't come between sisters and best friend. What a sticky corner I have got myself into. I ignored my communication with Suzanne and kept my eyes focused on Kelly for most of the time. I was really upset at Suzanne then. Well, anyhow, she moved on with her love life during our high school together. 3 months or so, every 3 months or so, she would have another boyfriend in her arms. She was such a bitch after breaking up with me. That whore! Watch your anger and frustration there, Dara. She deserved to be happy, and if her happiness means being without you, then more power to her. I don't know if she did that to hurt me and spite me or just plain coincident. I guess I hurt her too when she found out that I still longed for her best friend Kelly. From then, throughout high school, I went into seclusion, and I stuck to myself and only hung out with few guys friends I had, and I focused on my time on my study and ended up graduating from high school with honors, with the highest number of accumulated units than anyone else that centennial graduating year. At time, her girlfriend, who knew of our relationship and rocky time, would blame me for our separation, and they had said I had used Suzanne and take advantage of her physically and emotionally. I didn't take advantage of anyone. Those bitches, I guess. I was heartbroken too, pissed off, or just fucking afraid of being alone. I did quite well after the separation, and was pretty popular with people who are more or less like me, and I was quite the athlete then, performing well in all sporting activity. And I met several girls that I took a liking to, like NCOG and several of her friends who were in the PACE program, and I had classes with them and had some PE education class with them as well. I quite enjoyed their company and conversation. Thinking back now, I would like to show them a thing or two about physical attraction. You'll read more about them later on in future events and activity as I list them accordingly. Thank you for listening. This is the end of chapter 35. Be on the lookout for chapter 36, titled The High School Years. This is Do, Ra, Mi, and I'll see you later. Thank you.